セッション開始まであと2、3分お待ちいただければ幸いです。
Please kindly wait for a couple minutes until we start the session. Please mute all of your microphones unless you're the speaker. And this session will be recorded as an archive and we'll post it on the YouTube channel as well as the Lives Project website. If there are any issues, please kindly turn off your video as you participate. Thank you. So today we are fortunate to have the assistance of the simultaneous interpreters, Ms. Naoko Serando and Nobuko Tsutsui. And today's sign language interpreters are Yukio, Mr. Morimoto Yukio, and Ms. Mayumi Higuchi. So please kindly wait for a little more. We appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Good
afternoon, everybody. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Harumi Kachi, Executive Director at Hands on Tokyo. Thank you for joining us today despite your busy schedule. We are honored to host the kickoff session of Samurai 125, a new initiative of Lives Project, which we started 5 years ago. We have so many people joining today, participating today, and those people, those corporates, 15 corporates who have originally supported us and financially, and on top of it, some new 40 companies, corporates have joined in this effort. And let me walk you through quickly today's agenda. I will first give you a quick introduction of Hands on Tokyo, who we are, and explain to you about the Lives Project and why this Samurai 125 initiative was put together, and the explanation about this initiative. And then we give the floor to Dr. Shinichiro Kumagaya, Associate Professor at Research Center for Advanced Science and Technology and Director of Disability Service Office at the University of Tokyo, who will give us a speech and which will be followed by a panel discussion. Today, we would like to solicit as many questions and comments from the participants and proceed as much as possible in an interactive manner. So please feel free to send us messages through the chat function whenever you would like to do so. So this is the mission of Hands on Tokyo. Hands on Tokyo provides meaningful bilingual volunteer opportunities to foster volunteerism and develop leaders to serve the needs of our community. By doing so, we aim for a society where each individual is valued and where people proactively support each other. To create an inclusive society where the individuality of each person shines, and so that each people can support each other. So it all started out from when Diva Hirsch came to Japan from the US accompanying her husband's transfer to Japan. She could not find a community where she can volunteer only in English. She began this activity by inviting her bilingual friends. We provide volunteering opportunities in Japanese and in English. We are an approved specified nonprofit corporation with 5,000 volunteer staff registered, executing 800 volunteer programs every year. So these are the areas that we put together our activities. We work with children's home, orphanages, and those young people who are having difficulties in surviving financially, who are graduates of these children's homes. And also, we work with special needs groups, with the people with disabilities and with refractory diseases. And we also support elderly, senior homes. And we also try to support the disaster revitalization, especially in the northeast part of Japan. And also in the environment field, we would like to start a program for a sustainable world. So from special needs, we all started out with catering to special needs, and we work together with the group of people who have special needs. And by having sponsoring and hosting activities together, we wanted to put that together and give a further bigger impact to the society. So we started this Lives Project in 2017. So the mission of the Lives Project is that to create an inclusive society where the individuality of each person shines and everyone is empowered to work, eat, and laugh together. So once a year, we have events. We have this annual event. We attract about 1,000 to 2,000 people, and we have talk events and entertainment, talk events, music events, and get to experience Paralympic sports. And we have this discussion. And different nationalities, people from different nationalities, from different generation, and people with disabilities. And the background of these disabilities is diverse, and various kinds of people get together. This is a genuine diversity inclusion get together rally day, sort of. So last year we were negatively impacted by the COVID-19. So everything was done in a remote manner. Everything was online. So Lives Project, the characteristics of this Lives Project is we have this hands-on network, and we fully utilize the hands-on network so that we can give as much impact as possible to the society, so that these changes can be made immediately in the business. So we try to engage the corporate leaders and human resource people and the CSR people, engage as many as people in these functions. So this once a year event, we have this fireworks, and because it's the end of the year, the full calendar year. So since last year, we have started this several Lives project almost on a monthly basis in the field of art, technology, university, and Lives also operates kitchen car from 2018, and people with disabilities work with our staff. Our volunteer staff sell lunch boxes through this food trucks. And we also started this Youth Change Maker this year. This is a new program that started this year. And we have this brand new initiative that will be kicked off today, Samurai 125. This is a new project that will begin as of today. So the Lives main event, annual event, will be held on September 26th, Sunday, in the afternoon. And this will be a hybrid event. We will use the venue of Midtown Tokyo in Roppongi, and we will broadcast the events that will be going on in the Midtown. And we're thinking of different events. We're planning different endeavors. So at this point, I would like to give the floor to Ayahiga, who is the advisor of Hands-on Tokyo. She's the board member of Hands-on Tokyo and co-chair of the Lives Project Organizing Committee. She will explain the background of how the Samurai 125 initiative was put together. The floor is yours. お願いします。
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Higa, and I thank you very much for spending your time today despite your busy schedule. So let me talk about the population of the number of the estimated people with a disability. That is estimated to be 1.3 billion according to WHO and World Bank. And the total purchasing power of the people with the disabilities and their friends and families is estimated to be around $8 trillion. Although this group has a large market value, only 4% of the companies offer inclusive products for people with disabilities, and many companies are missing out on the business opportunities. In addition, many people with disabilities are in the state where they are unable to acknowledge their own value that enables them to demonstrate their business, social, and economic value. So, removing barriers inside and outside a company will improve business performance and lead to the creation of an inclusive society. So that's how the valuable 500, which is shown on the screen, that's valuable 500 initially began. Last year, Lives invited the founder Caroline Casey and former Sony chairman and president Kazuo Hirai to a panel discussion. So through this, the Samurai 125 ended up being founded. So let's look at the digest version of a panel discussion. After that, we'll continue the further discussion of Samurai 25.
Welcome to Lives Live. I am Jesper Koll, and I'm absolutely delighted to be the moderator in this next panel discussion here. And what we do want to do is we want to talk about the importance of inclusive leadership. It's a little bit corporate, but we do want to give some hints for corporate leaders on how to benefit from inclusive leadership and how that can benefit overall corporate performance.
So inclusiveness is actually part of Sony's stated vision. We have 4 stated visions, and inclusiveness is certainly right in there with the other 3. And we do a lot of different initiatives internally with our employees and all of our stakeholders. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today, in the interest of time, was a company called Sony Taiyo that we have down in the island of Kyushu in Oita Prefecture, where we employ about 185, 190 people, and about 2/3 of the employees are either physically or mentally challenged. They manufacture very high-end professional broadcast microphone equipment. They also manufacture very high-end consumer audio products and headphones. And when I say very high-end, some of these headphones cost about $2,000 to $3,000. So this is really high-end. So I think it's a testament to the fact that we are entrusting a very important product for Sony with the employees at Sony Taiyo. Now, not only do we have these kinds of organizations in Sony because it's the right thing to do, but in fact, because we have various employees with different kinds of challenges, it's incumbent upon the engineers to come up with creative ways to create pods and manufacturing lines that cater to the individual challenges that they have. That allows them to really think outside the box of how to create manufacturing lines. And what that does is it has a rub-off effect on all the other Sony manufacturing facilities, because when they are up with some manufacturing and engineering challenges, they actually ask Sony Taiyo because they're the experts in thinking outside the box. So not only are the employees at Sony Taiyo contributing to a great product lineup at Sony, they're also an integral part of designing and engineering manufacturing lines across the globe.
Because leaders make choices, and those choices create culture. What could we do if we had 500 CAS? What could we do if we had 500 organizations with the same spirit and value of Sony for full inclusion? Well, you know what we could do? We could potentially end the disability inequality crisis that affects actually nearly 20% of our population. It's now 1.3 billion. 50% of children who have 90% of children who have a disability don't get into a classroom. You're 50% less likely to have a job and experience poverty. And the scale of this issue cannot be resolved without the most powerful force on this planet, which is business. And the way we believe inclusive business creates inclusive society. What business values, society values. So how can we create inclusive business? Through leaders.
Sometimes, particularly here in Japan, right? I mean,
Yes.
people say, oh, as long as you employ X%, right, then you tick the box and everything's fine. And you're basically saying, well, you got to be much, much better than that. It's got to be the commitment from the leadership.
But it's not about employment either, Jesper. This is about connecting employment to value. You heard Cass speaking about this. There's no point in forcing a business to employ if they have a charitable mindset. This is an opportunity which is considerable. What business would leave 8 trillion on the table?
And there's a lot of pushback. The way to avoid pushback is to make sure that the top person or the top management team always talks about it. They're always asking about it. And when you're saying that you're committed, you have to really make sure that you're acting on it as well. You can't just say we're committed to diversity and inclusion and mention it every year at a corporate meeting and then forget about it. And that's what makes sure that organizations will start to turn eventually, because when the CEO is talking about it all the time, then people understand it's an important corporate initiative, not because it's on a piece of paper, but because the CEO is always talking about it and he's also acting on it.
This is also about brand. Okay? You think about a company like Sony that has the integrity around that brand, and this is about a brand attracting and retaining the best talent. Consumers wanting to use their money to buy from products. I think there's a really important time we're in at the moment when our millennial and our next generation are demanding full inclusion from the companies they either choose to have a career with or spend money with. And I think when we're speaking to some of the stats that exist, did you know that 90% of the companies in the world claim to be passionate about inclusion, but only 4% have evidence to say they're considering disability like Sony? Now you think about that and what that reputational damage is. Well, the only thing that we have in common as human beings is that we're different. So let's look at that. So difference is the only thing that we have in common, and that's the homogeneity that we have. We each have individually unique and valuable difference.
Next, we are going to invite Jesper Call to the stage. He is a lives director and also director leadership of Samurai 125. Samurai leader from Jesper Call will give an introduction. So actually the real leader is Mizukachi. Thank you for your introduction. The Harumi and I are working in the same team. Not only two of us, but early here and the other people hold hands to pursue this mission. Hands-on Tokyo, I think that's the first goal. But if we work together, nothing will be in our way. We can change the society together. We can change the, そして、
その valuable 500
and this valuable 500, now when you think about it, it's so natural. It's a simple idea. And Caroline worked so hard, and Hiromi, Aya, other hands-on Tokyo members and Lives members we are in Japan. We can do better than that. Samurai 125, that's how Samurai 125 was born. What that means is we will target at the Fortune 500 like us, like Santry. And the most important thing is we should target at the small to mid companies who work as a backbone of the economy, Japanese economy. So, of course, that the leadership should be taken by large companies, but in order to carry out a real inclusive society, we shouldn't target only large companies. We should target at small to medium companies who are grassroots. That will make a real change. So, in Japan, the leadership should be targeted at the 2. So that means, in other words, that's 125, 1 to 5. It means a go, a 5, which is a 5 in Japanese means go. So Harumi was even thinking of 555, but we thought realistically we should start from 125. And the Lives Project, Hands-on Tokyo, and Samurai 125, please support this organization. Please do not hesitate. Please introduce us a new startup or any established small to medium companies. If you know someone who are working for those companies, please introduce us. And that will create a very exciting network. And that will be a grassroots activity or bottom-up activity to create inclusive Japanese society. I thank you very much for your cooperation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the powerful speech.
Thank you, Jesper.
Today, so in order to create inclusive companies and inclusive society, we'd like to learn how leaders are important. I want you to recognize, I want you to deeply aware that leaders are important for real inclusive society. Today, we have a really good person for that, Associate Professor at the Research Center for Advanced Science and Technology and Director of Disability Services Office, the University of Tokyo. He has a cerebral palsy, and it's hard to tell from online, but he is actually using a powered wheelchair. Professor Kumagaya, thank you very much. Please.
Thank you for your kind introduction. So I will start. I would like to share the screen with you. And the title is that the disability is not in the person, but in the environment. Reforms that business leaders can take the lead in. So I am using this motor wheelchair, and I am originally a pediatrician, and I'm also practicing the as pediatrician. 2009, I started this self-directed research. So whoever has the disability will start the research and to change the society through the research of disability and self-directed research. I would like to give you my personal history. I was born in the 70s, and this is the photo of myself when I was 3 years old, and I am working on a rehabilitation. And this was the time that I tried to be close to the able-bodied. So this was not the time of diversity. It was the time of homogeneity. You have to be the same. My parents and the physician said, if you become close to the able-bodied, you can survive in the society. So let's do your best. Let's work hard, they said. And no matter how hard I tried with the disability, with the rehabilitation, it just gave pain to my body, and I was never close to the able-bodied. But around the 80s, I began, we were all concerned about the future. Something very fortunate happened. So the philosophy of, or the thinking about disability changed completely. So until the 70s, the disability was a characteristic that resided in my body. And this is called the medical model. But from 80s on, all the predecessors who had a disability began challenging this thought. They said that disability rests outside the body of the disabled. If it's a building that only has stairs, it's not in my body, but the social environment has the disability. So this is called the social model theory. Thanks to our predecessors, our seniors, this kind of thought was a precursor. And now this has become the standard way of thinking. So it's not we should attribute these disabilities to the social environment rather than the bodies of the social disabled. So there are two kinds of barriers. If you look at your workplace, are there any differences in the steps? And do they have sound system? Do they have the lighting system? Do they have enough equipment to accommodate the disabled? So cultural environment, people's values and beliefs and customs. The organizational culture is more important to accommodate people with disabilities. And this is the CRPD, preamble of UNCRPD Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Not just the physical environment, but also the attitude. It will serve as a hurdle, barrier to the people with disabilities. So this looks like research in earnest. So for people with various disabilities, a workplace that is easy to work in and difficult to work in, and this has put into the list. I'm not going to each of the details, but if is human support available, the juniors and your seniors' attitude is also an important element to accommodate these people. And that's where we can see the importance of this organization culture. Let's look back on my work experience. I had a disability and I served as a pediatrician where it's a high performance organization within a small team where mistakes are not allowed. Failures are not allowed. This must be a exceptional workplace, but maybe I can give you some clues. So let me give you my work experience. So if you want to pay attention to the importance of culture, so if you are an intern as a pediatrician, your year 1, year 2, first year, second year, a very demanding challenge awaits you, whether you have disability or not, as a physician. So a baby that you are in charge of, and you have to insert a needle and draw. It's a blood draw that you have to do, and the interns have to be responsible for this blood drawing. You get nervous blood drawing. What if I make a mistake? What if I fail? I maybe make the baby cry, and the parents would be concerned. And so if you look at the manual as to how you can successfully do a blood draw, and this is the photo that they show you. So I don't know, my hands are like this. I don't know if you can see this. So I cannot hold the syringe like this. So I felt very depressed, but I still wanted to do the blood draw. So I went to the 100 yen shop after the work. Every night I would go to the 100 yen shop looking for materials that I may be able to use. So I made this system technology support equipment that it's handmade. I made this on my own. I assorted on this toolkit box on my own. It is made by an amateur, so it looks a bit bizarre, strange, and it's difficult to describe what it is. A bit odd. So I would carry this toolbox to my workplace, and so I would try to do the baby's blood draw, but it doesn't work. And the mom was very angry, and I started trembling. And so I went to the 100 yen shop once again to look for different kits. So, and I have a more reinforced version of the toolbox. So the tools that were accommodated were even more bizarre. And so I feel like I'm very outplaced. The next day I carry this toolbox to work. That was my first year. So I really didn't know what I should do. So it really was the time that I would go for the worst. It was really a vicious cycle. But then I went to the new hospital, and this was my boss in the second hospital, and he was my benefactor. He was great. I was feeling nervous. I was feeling tense. And in a very small voice, he whispered at me, saying, "Don't be, don't. I will take care. I will take the blame. So go ahead and do it. Insert the needles," he said. So whether you have a disability or not, if you're a rookie, you are prone to failure. But this is you need this test to become a full-fledged physician to grow, and so you get an update for the team through these failures. So the boss would take the blame or take the risk. Under such leadership, finally, rookie like me and the staff would be given the opportunity to grow. So I will later let you know about this. We call it the high confidence organization. This was found in the book Ecology of Learning. And so when I draw the blood, I do it like this. I look like a Dracula. It's very different from the manual written for the average people. So blood drawing, you don't necessarily have to do it by the manual, by the textbook. You can do it in safe and within a short amount of time, draw the blood. So you commit strongly to the objective or the end results. And you can have as many procedures as possible, and because you can flexibly switch between all these different options. And that was what I learned. So this could be the condition for the disabled, for an organization where they would like to accommodate and welcome people with disabilities. And if organizations face any kind of challenges that was unexpected, like Sony Taiyo's challenges, you can change flexibly the procedures or the means. So, and you can grow to be a tough organization, robust organization. So this is how I'm working in my workplace. And through rehabilitation, I never came close to able-bodied, but even if I had disabilities, I had this great culture with the strong support of my colleagues. I was able to work as a doctor, and the patients chose me as the good doctor in year one. This is a good news that I would like to take the time machine and deliver to the year one rookie, Dr. Kumagaya. So what would be the environment condition for an inclusive workplace? Two things are important. Anti-stigma. So let me explain to you about what anti-stigma is. So this is a habit of stigma. So people have diverse backgrounds, but we get to categorize people, and this is called labeling. And people who have different backgrounds and people who have different stereotypes. And for certain categories, you tend to have a negative prejudice. And also, you start discriminating people. So certain people can be labeled, and you put them, you stereotype them, and you segregate them, and you discriminate these people. This habit of awareness and behavior is called stigma. If you have stigma in the workplace, you can't retain people, and also the physical and mental health would be injured. So nobody gains. Individual, yes, and also it's not good for the organization as well. So in order to reduce this stigma, we should stop this category thinking. And we're the same humans, but we have differences. And by knowing each other deeply, profoundly, this is a difference, a continuous difference. The continuous education will reduce stigma. So we have this special program, and we try to reduce the stigma for the autistic patients within the organization. So we try to record the self-directed people's narratives, and so those people who participated in the workshop was able to reduce their stigma towards people with the stigma. お願いします。
What I wanted to convey the message about the stigma is the high trust, the organizational research, not only the medical organization. There are many environment or organization which do not allow the failure, and what the culture, this is a research, what the culture is required to be there. And then this is unrelated to disabilities, but recently, in order to improve the entire organization, this research is considered to be useful for disability. And there is this called, the culture called just culture. What this means is, if one person makes a mistake, that is, instead of finding who committed the crime, people would think it as a nature. Like for example, when it rains, we do not consider it as a crime. It's when something goes wrong, that is a natural phenomenon. And then instead of finding out who caused that issue, it's you accept it as a part of nature. That's called just culture. And it is related to this is with psychological safety, which Google found out. When you, in this research, trying to find out the high performance organization that has a high psychological safety. So as the leader, the words shows as a representative, you can safely make mistakes here. Challenge can be performed, can be pursued with safety. So those who feel that psychologically they are faced, then the members will perform higher as well as stay at the organization. So it comes with this specific figures. So those who are interested in, please come to me. And who is necessary as a leader? One leader which is required is a modest leader. So the leader would try to look at him correctly, and that leader will acknowledge other people's contribution and strength and teachability. That makes these three factors make a good leader. And there is actually research for leaders as well. It's anti-stigma and also the high reliability, the psychological safety, and the modesty. Those make inclusive team as well as high performance team. And I'm not going to cover the detail. In order to satisfy these conditions, we have to consider what is necessary. And then for that, we created created persons concerned research. And then when online, we provide materials. So those who are interested in, please search Tokyo University Extension to find that material. And the team who tried our program, you can also see the result, whether the leader became modest as a result of that. And we also started that research whether our, the material which provided the work to create such kind of outcome. So those who are interested in, please come to me. Thank you very much. That's all from me.
ご清聴ありがとうございました。私の話は以上です。
熊谷先生、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. 今ある方はどうぞ。If you have any question, he also participates in panel discussion. So at the time, you can please feel free to ask him question. We're going to continue to the panel discussion. So what's the meaning of inclusivity in business? So the moderator, Jesper Cole, will work as a moderator, and Mr. Tadahiro, Kawada Technology President, and Satoshi Nabe, who is the CEO of Alon Alon, and Professor Kumagaya will hold a panel. Thank you very much for joining us in the panel. And from here, Jesper will lead the panel. So this should be interactive, so please feel free to write your questions or opinions on chat. And those who are here, please raise your hand. Jesper, thank you. Professor Kumagaya, I thank you very much for the great presentation. And Mr. Nabe and Mr. Kawada, probably you would like to introduce yourself, Mr. Nabe? I'm a representative of NPO Alon Alon. What Alon Alon does is for people with a disability, we grow orchid called Kochoran orchid, and we visit companies, and we will send our people with a disability as a orchid specialist, and we provide orchid as well as an expert in orchid. So here, how many companies do you have as your customer? About 2,500 companies place orders of orchids. And there are many corporations, probably out of 2,500, 3% to 5%, our people, our members work at the company. So about nine companies. So you're doing this in entire Japan. So please, if there are any if you run a flower business, please buy orchids from them. So I know you personally. And why did you end up becoming interested in people with disabilities? My son has a heavy disabilities, and he's classified as 6, which is most severe. He is 25 years old, and I have been spending a life with him, my son. And when I look at the society from his perspective, I find it's really hard. The current Japanese society is really hard to survive. So when I became 40 years old, I sold my business and started an NPO. How about the Kawada-san? Please introduce yourself briefly. I'm a president of Kawada Technology. My company is a traditional Japanese company, and we'll have a 100th anniversary next year. So we are basically is a welding company at dealing with steel. So civil engineers are our core competence. So mainly the men are working at our company. So it's a general consult. It's related to general construction. So when we think about diversity, the only thing we could think of was women, including women. And then the number of the diversity is very limited, probably 10%, less than 10% are women. And we weld steel or we construct bridges. So we thought that the women are not suitable to our company. That's the kind of company. But recent years, we include women. And we hire female engineers or architects, and many of them want to work at the construction sites. So, unfortunately, 2.7%, we have to. So I'm sorry that we just followed satisfy 2.7% simply because that was a rule. But that's how we started to hire people with a disability. And your company became well known from robot. And you also had a philosophy of engineering and collaboration. So it's not robot versus human, but the robot is part of inclusiveness, right? Do you have that?
So the reason why I got interested in this program is at the time of the Lives project, I was invited by Kachi-san, and so I attended. I complied. There was this visually impaired person who is a full-fledged lawyer, and I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. And also Dr. Kumagaya today, those who have a disability, they have this outstanding careers, and dialogue in the dark. So by losing their sight, still they have this very exceptional ability that they developed. And not just that, blind soccer, I tried the blind soccer, and also I experienced wearing the prosthesis limb, and it was a very challenging day. By using technology, I thought that you can do by using technology, you can be very close, lead a life that is close to able-bodied. If I take off my spectacles, glasses, I would be a person with disability. Thanks to this spectacle technology, that I am able to lead a life like an able-bodied. So in this time and era, we can do various kind of things making use of technology. So that is why I'm in charge of this technology part of this Lives project. It's a wonderful topic. I would like to have the comment from Dr. Kumagaya. So using the technology and be able to conquer or overcome the disability, that's a progress. But that doesn't mean that we have, by using the technology, we can, the leadership can say there should be, you should be more inclusive. And but even if you use the technology, it's not really effective unless you have a good amount of leadership. So technology and inclusiveness, what do you think about this relationship between the two? It's a very interesting topic. When I was the first year intern, a resident in the hospital, I brought this toolkit box that was arranged by myself. Because so that I can do the blood draw independently. So I developed this toolbox, and that was a technology in a way. So if it's a technology that does not have the culture or the spirit, if there is no inclusive culture in the workplace, and if you just try to solve things using technology, technology will be inflated, technology will be overwhelming, and it is not very useful. The technology will no longer be useful. There will be more distance between yourself, myself, and the colleagues. So I think technology is wonderful, splendid, because I use this motor wheelchair and I can move around freely. So technology is wonderful. It gives power. But this technology and culture, when they are put together, there would be a good effect. And culture gives you the aim, and the means will be created by the technology. So the technology does not give you the goal or the objective. So the culture that shows you the direction or the goal, and by using different methods, a technology in abundance will bring together an inclusive society. So this is the valuable 500's wonderful way of thinking. So leadership and the leaders or the corporate top will be responsible for changing the culture of the organization. This is a top-down mandate, and no matter what kind of technology is being used, so each of the teams and each of the mindset must be changed. Otherwise, it's not impactful enough. So that is why 1 to 5 is important. Today's tagline is 1 to 5 of samurai. So Nabe-san, Mr. Nabe, you have this exchange with the customers. Did you ever experience any kind of cultural barriers? Are there any success stories? So the employment of the people with disabilities, there's no culture and there's no thinking, there's no philosophy. So the top leaders, top management think, oh, well, just go ahead and hire some, is the kind of culture we have. Well, just hire them. And after you hire them, what do you do with them? And okay, they come to the office and they are put into the meeting room, and they work on this math problems. It's a arithmetic practice. So this is not an employment. This is employing people with disabilities without any culture. So each people should be given the work that is appropriate to their aptitude or competence. So the decision of the top management is that each person with disability will do some profit-making work, and that kind of decision is important. Delegation of power. So they falsely believe that this person cannot do anything just to satisfy the quota that is given from the government. They invite these people and pay them and make them do their math problems. So you give the good work to them, and you give them the wage, the labor charge for that work done. So what do you think about the culture, Kawata-san? So within the Kawata group, we haven't gone that far yet, unfortunately. So like you said, I mean, we don't make them do math problems, arithmetics, no, arithmetic exercise, no, but because factories and the construction field is dangerous. So what they can do may be limited, but we haven't gone so far yet to make them do some profit-making work. But through the Lives project, I met Yoshifuji-san, who leads the ORI Research Institute. I collaborate with him, and Mika-chan, Sai-chan they were formerly baristas, coffee brewers, and one lady became ALS, one lady has some physical condition that doesn't allow them to do the work anymore. So they couldn't work as barista for many years. But by using the robot that we developed, the ORI, the Avatar Robot Cafe in Nihonbashi, so these two ladies are able to, through our robot that we developed, through the Orihime robot, which are their avatar robots, she lives in Nagoya, but she can remote control the robot and serve coffee to the customers who are in Nihonbashi. So when you think of that, inclusivity is something that you can do once you have the decision. But I had this strong belief that I could not do this in the beginning, but not just for this persons with disabilities, but our engineers said, this is an eye-opener. I did not know this was possible. And what Mika-san and Saya-san could do, we wanted to realize these things. And the engineers are also working hard to make it even easier to serve the coffee to the customers. And during the IDEA Prize, our employees took part into it, and in order to make the society more inclusive, not just within our organization, but in the society, we will be able to give them a cue as to what they can contrive to do. So we are increasing the number of employees who are changing their mindsets. So maybe in the construction area, construction site, the people with disabilities would be able to participate as workforce. As a Westerner, from my perspective is I can come across different things in Japan. Japanese people are very good with kata. They do it with certain patterns, and but the innovation is in all these improvement in these subtle areas. It's an inclusive effort. So people from outside, foreign nationals, or it could be the female or people with disabilities, they enter into the organization, and then the team would be excited to have that kind of newcomer, and maybe it could be an exciting competition. Then you can change something drastically, and something completely new may come into being. So this is called the inclusivity. So I'm a bit mad about this. Inclusivity is a katakana, is a phonetics. It's a imported term. So can we make this word in kanji? Dr. Kumagai can ask you a question. So inclusivity would be to change how we're doing it, how we are reforming it. Do you think innovation can happen from inclusivity?
Well, so we should create a Japanese word, our own word, in Japanese. I have been thinking, it's a part of homework. I have been thinking to myself, it may not be inclusive itself, but maybe I'd like to use this word as cultural research, or I'm saying research culture. I'm sorry, research culture. What this means is research is not only done by a researcher, but any people who are excited about researching. And we have this spirit from ancestor, but sometimes we have this unknown challenges. And research mind is important. Everyone gets excited to do something. And instead of finding who caused it, we try to find out the mechanism. We are not going to give a fine to some people or instead of giving a punitive something, everyone get together and come up with something new through research. And so this kind of researcher spirit is very important. What do you think, Dr. Kumagaya? Yes, curiosity is important, right? And the researcher's spirit means you're curious, right? What do you think, Mr. Nabe? We're trying to seek and find. In that sense, it's a research. When we, grew orchid, we came to think that not only orchid, but we have to grow something. We'd like to grow something else. And ultimately, what we wanted to do is a place for people with disabilities can work. And then if we only think about the orchid, the market size is only 30 billion yen. But when you focus agriculture, then the market is infinite. The size of the market is infinite. So we have to think of the agricultural method that the people with a disability can seek after. So now we are growing mango, not the orchid. So mango is usually grown in Okinawa or Kyushu area, but we were successful in growing mangoes in Kanto area. So it all came with this spirit or research. We wanted to create this workplace for people with a disability can work. And then we're doing this co-research with Mr. Kawada's company. For example, after people leave, drone will check the sugar level. And then next morning when we come back, that with the VR glasses, we will know which fruits are mature, something like which fruits are ripe. So from the perspective of welfare, we have been trying to research. So here comes the curiosity, researcher's spirit. What do you think of this? As an engineer, whenever a problem happens, I'd like to solve it. Of course, we cannot do it by ourselves. So, as Mr. Nabe said, drone company, I never thought of it, but let's say we can collaborate with a drone manufacturer, or with sometimes I sometimes feel that I'm tired, or there are maybe some people who feel that their memory is getting weak because of aging. So there are so many things we can do to those people. The curiosity, the word curiosity is English, but my recent interaction or activity is by using the telebalister, the Mika-chan and the Saya-chan, our engineers work together. They are like friends. And the Mika-chan and Saya-chan, these two, they never met each other. One lives in Saitama, the other lives in Nagoya, so they never actually met. But still, they behave just, naturally. And the Mika-chan, when, let's say, she went to Hokkaido, and in the afternoon she's at home, and in the evening she traveled to Fukuoka. So as a robot, through avatar, she can travel instantly. That's very interesting. So even I think this able people can also use this technology. You can fly to Hokkaido and instantly flights to Fukuoka. So in the live seminar, there are some people who said, oh, we have been doing it for such a long time. So I learn from those people. So Mr. Shirai at the Shake Heart have been teaching me. And I learn from him because he teaches me something I cannot learn as a person of a disability. He teaches me what I otherwise wouldn't be able to learn. So by interacting with people with a disability, we can grow. And as an engineer, I have this exciting moment. I feel like, okay, I'd like to solve problems. I hope through hands-on activities, if we can resolve those issues, that'll be great. These are really wonderful discussion, but I'd like to change the topic here. So it says this is interactive. So that was an order. So I'm a German. As a German, I follow rule. So I know it's interactive session, so I'll follow that. But you mentioned researcher's spirit or inclusivity. And the Superman, Dr. Kumagaya, when you look at Japanese society, what's the good way to expedite? What's the best approach you can think of to expedite, to create like something like a magic wand? How do you say magic wand in Japanese? That's anyway, it's called the tsue in Japanese. But what do you think? The magic wand to change the Japanese society? The theme of this session, the theme of this session is leadership. Leadership is the key word. Everyone has a researcher's spirit, but everyone is hesitant to challenge. So we tend to think that it's better to repeat what we have been doing. It's because that we do not want to that negatively affect our performance. We also worry about what other people think. That's how we live. When in the first intern of in my first year of internship, I was like that. As one employee or as one staff, we cannot change our mindset drastically. So I think the leaders should provide a workplace where people can challenge safely, and then people are not blamed, and then people can challenge something new with a safeguard or with this ease of mind. I hope the national leaders also have that mindset, nurture that mindset. So the psychological safety, psychological ease of mind, and also the researcher's spirit, that should be nurtured by leaders. So this valuable 125 is an important intervention, I think. How about the Mr. Nabe? Magic wand. What do you think is a magic wand? My employees or my members have the right to challenge, and I always tell them you have a freedom to fail, and the right to challenge and the freedom of failure. The reason why I'm telling this to my employees is because the organization and the companies will be vitalized through challenges and the failure. There was a time that I was doing the venture work in the venture company. Without that spirit, no movement, that will be in stale condition. That's what I have been telling to people. How about Mr. Kawada? For you, what's a magic wand? I don't think there is a such thing, magic wand. I don't believe it. But what we can do is many people give up. That can be said to my construction site. What we have been doing for a long, many years, and then that's how it is always. But so when the robot manufacturer engineers go there, and then they will give up new perspective, like, oh, you can do certain things this way. It's not quite a magic wand, but they click. So, and then they say, okay, this is a patent worthy, So what I find is when you go to a construction site, I always tell people, yeah, please speak out. That's what I say. So the same thing can be said. Aging is an important issue. It's a serious issue in inclusiveness as well. In this aging society, and I'm the representative of the disease society, I cannot even see. But anyway, so the problem, we have to change our mindset. How we cannot suffer, how we can do things easily.
So I thought that was a great point. So I don't know if there's a magic bullet, silver bullet. Communication and share experience is important, I think. So all these narrow culture, and behind the barrier, behind the walls, there's something. And these walls are everywhere, universal. When it comes to diversity and inclusiveness and also disability, we should share experience, common experience. So this was the failure, and this is the success story. So these things should be openly shared. Each of the leaders should be able to share, and then all the leaders can learn from each other. And then we can have this camaraderie, and then the society as a whole, we can progress. And that's why it's 1 to 5. So hands-on Tokyo and lives, it's a common platform. We don't have the answers. Dr. Kamagaya, he said that there is no absolute answer for all the questions. So if you have a conversation with Dr. Kamagaya, and if you share your experiences with Dr. Kamagaya, you can share experience by saving space. All of these small and medium-sized enterprises and startup companies or Fortune 500, these companies can also improve. So through Hands-on Tokyo Lives, Samurai 1 to 5, we need your support. And rather than your support, I want you to participate. And this would be an active membership. You have to be an active membership. So thank you. Do we still have time? We're running out of time. You're serving us some cocktails. We have 5 more minutes. So any questions from the floor? 赤い服を着た方、どうぞ。Can you tell us your name? Thank you for this. NPO exceptions and 仕事幸せ Labo. My name is Furuichi. So Dr. Kumagaya's discussion and Nabe-san, Kawata-san's discussion gave me so much excitement. And because it's business, this is not a support of the people with disabilities. All the leaders should understand this is not a support. If it's a support, then this person would have to work as a person with disability. I have a severe mentally challenged son. So Mr. Nabe and Mr. Kawada, even if you have a disability, they seem to be happily working, and that's probably impressive to the CEOs. So to provide such opportunities and a business that gives excitement to the customers. Sorry, this was a comment. I was very much moved by the discussion, by the schemes that the gentlemen's put together. So any questions from the audience?
A very nice comment なんですけど、どうですか？
So,
他のオ
thank you.
ーディエンスの方からご質問があります
Dr. Kumagaya, Nabe-san, Kawata-san, it was very much fun.
熊谷先生、
Thank you so much.
鍋さんと川原さん、本当にありがとうございます。That was fun. I hope you liked it.
ありがとうご
ありがとうございま
ました。
した。ではですね、
So at this point, before we close, Samurai 125, in order to become a member of Samurai 125, what you can do is so this charter, the head of the company CEO signs the document, the Samurai 125 charter, which commits to the following actions. Then you can become a member. So Jesper says, with wearing a foreigner's face, asking for donation is easy, but I have to wear a Japanese person's face and ask for your support. So in order to make this project sustainable, if you want to become a member of 125, I have to ask you for a financial donation, and it starts from 300,000 yen. And so this is the charter. In the board meeting, you have to ensure that disability inclusion is on the board meeting agenda. It could be a person with disabilities or a person with this refractory disease, and you will have to sign that item and make at least one firm commitment. One is enough, related to disability inclusion in action. And share and promote the commitment internally and externally. That is what we are asking for. So you can start with a very minor step and becoming a life's member. If you can disseminate this news, share that news internally and externally, that would be a step forward. That much is good enough. And then you can sign this charter. We're showing you the charter, sorry. So if you become the Samurai 125 member, you will be a part of the sharing scheme. So all the members will do a sharing, and that kind of opportunity will be provided to you. And we get to learn from someone like Dr. Kumagaya, and you will have access to such seminars. And also, Lives will send out the message, share this information that your company is a great company that contributes to an inclusive society. And also, corporate to corporate network, which will contribute to inclusive society creation. And we have this very warm and splendid, precious network, and you will be a part of this network. And collective impact to be created in this society by the samurai businesses. So you can be a part of this collaborative creation initiative. We believe that the impact of the action taken by the business leader is huge. So once again, we would like to ask you to sign this charter and financial donations. The sign-up sheet is this one. And if you satisfy these two things, you will become a full-fledged member of the Samurai 125.
メンバーになっていただくのに必要なことでございます。これは
So if you write to the Lives Project at handsontokyo.org,
この一番下にありますウェブE メールアドレス
if you send the emails there, you can contact us. And if you have some personal connections with the Lives member, you can go through that person. So it's been a 1.5 hour long session. Thank you so much for participating despite your busy schedule. Samurai 1 to 5, please consider joining us. We welcome your contribution. Thank you all.
お願いいたします。はい、では終了したいと思います。ありがとうございます。